So today I want to talk about Suspiria, which is actually a movie I've never seen before and is the first Dario Argento movie that I've watched. And in terms of being the horror fan that I am, I have not seen everything, and I'm not in the slightest trying to say that I'm a horror expert at all. But I do love horror, and I do love most of the movies that I've seen. There's some that I really hate, but in terms of the horror things that I've seen, I want to go delve past American horror because I feel like that's mostly all I will watch. So I really have been for a while wanted to watch Suspiria just because on a lot of top 20, top 50 lists of horror movies of all time, this is almost always on those lists. And I really thought that I should rectify that. I should really see this movie because it's gotten so much praise from so many people. Especially in that Killer Flicks that I'm on Facebook on their Facebook page. They mention this a lot. A lot of people mention this and say it's one of the best. And watching this movie, I actually do agree. I think this is a really fantastic horror movie. This in terms of like being made in 1977, I feel like it has some slow moments for me, and I usually do love slow burns, but I feel like this one was a little slow. And like I said, like Halloween I love, and that's a slow burn movie, and like a lot of horror movies from that time I can watch still, but I felt like this one had a tiny bit against it being slower than, for me personally, than other horror movies. And maybe if I've only seen this once, this first time, so maybe if I watch this again, the pacing might not affect me as much. And that has happened to me, where movies I watched once, I might have thought it's slow, but then watch again and it's actually really flows by. So if I watch it again, I might feel different about the pacing. But besides the pacing, I think that this movie is completely just such a memorable horror movie just on the basis of how it looks. And that sounds hollow, but I'm not trying to point it out that way. I'm just saying that it looks fantastic, and the whole movie, visually speaking, like, this is incredibly like engaging, and it looks really nothing like any other horror movie I've ever seen. And the visuals are incredible, and the cinematography is incredible, and the score, the lullaby theme that plays throughout this whole movie, I've never heard this before, and this, I couldn't get it out of my head for a while after watching this movie, because it just was incredible. One of the most, like, it's a creepy tune, but it works in other ways too. Like, it feels like I could listen to this and like on a CD or something and not feel like it's a horror movie. And I really do like that this theme is so foreboding, but in a way where it works just as it could be interpreted as a horror movie or just a little creepy little tune. And I really do enjoy that, and I thought that the score was incredible. And I saw that movie Curse of Chucky before this, and listening to this score reminded me of that score of Curse of Chucky so much. And that's not an insult to Curse of Chucky, but it feels similar to that. And I love Curse of Chucky too, but that score reminded me of Curse of Chucky, and I really like both scores. This one more, but I think that you could tell there's a little bit of like elements that they borrowed in terms of the music for that movie, but that's fine. And that movie was trying to be a little more quote-unquote giallo-like, so I feel like that was just an interesting little thing to point out, that like it sounds like that score, which of course obviously took from this movie, because this movie obviously came first. But the opening shots and the opening score, the lullaby, it is incredible. The way that it starts out, showing every single shot at the beginning of the movie, I feel like is honestly like cinematic elements where I've never seen before, and in any movie. And I feel like this really is incredibly evocative just in the imagery and the cinematography, and there's not much to say about it besides the fact that it just is so unique in how it looks and how it feels. And I love the fact that this movie, watching it all the way through, this is not a full like slasher movie. Like it's got a couple kills in it, but I think it's literally got like 4 kills on screen, I think. This is my first time watching it, so I think it was 4 kills, 3 or 4. But anyways, how many kills it was? There was barely a good amount of kills in this, which is totally fine because it does do a good job of tension, even though the pacing is just kind of slow for me. But the tension buildup is really crazy good. And I like the fact that you get this character Susie, who's trying to get into this German establishment where she's going to enroll, and she gets there, and then somebody on the phone on the other side says like, "We don't know who you are, go away." And then she leaves with the taxi driver, and then she goes and, like, while they're driving, she sees a woman out in the woods running away in the storm, and she saw her a second ago before she went up to the doors, where she ran out the doors, but then she sees her out in the woods running away, which is a cool precursor to that woman just getting her own time for like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes of the movie, where it cuts away from Susie, the main character, to this girl who talks to this person she's with at this house, saying like, "Can I take like a bath or take a shower, wash my hair?" And then the girl's like, "Yeah, of course." And then the girl leaves, and then the door's locked. So then the girl who ran away from the establishment sees out in the shadows there's something out there in the storm, like she can't tell what it is. And I liked how it does like a quick fade in and fade out of Kat's eyes, and that was supposed to like stop you from thinking, oh, there's not actually somebody out there, just like a cat or something. But why would a cat be out in the storm? But I like the fact that the hand flies through, and that's something that's done in a lot of horror movies, but I feel like this might be one of the first times it's done that. Because I know movies like Friday the 13th did that a lot, and I love those movies, but like this might be one of the first times you see like the hand fly through the glass, and then the hand pushes her up to the window, just keeps pushing her and forces her out. And then I like the fact that you get this incredible kill. Like, it is really terrifying. Like, it actually, and I don't get scared at movies, but like this just was really, really effective. Like, it, again, how it's lit, how it looks incredible with this girl being, she literally gets stabbed like 5 or 6 times, and then she gets a rope around her neck, and then gets stabbed some more, and then her head falls through some of the glass on top of the roof. And then the woman who runs down, who was in the apartment with her, sees her up in the air, looking like her head's just through the glass. And then it breaks through, and then it makes it to where she falls down and her neck gets snapped and hooked on a rope. And just, she dies there and has been stabbed. And it was really, really disgusting that you get this shot, which I usually do not ever see in American horror movies. I really love the shot, and it was disgusting, where before she falls down and gets hung, she gets stabbed in the heart. Like, it literally shows her heart palpitating, and this assailant literally stabs her in the heart, and it oozes out pus, or not pus, but it oozes out, and like it is really effective, and it really worked. And then of course, so that's the end of the first kill, which is the most goriest of all of them. Like, that one, just, what a kill to open this movie. Like, I mean, it was probably like 15 minutes or 20 minutes in, but still, that was just incredible. Like, an incredible first opening kill. And it's the most gruesome out of all of them. But I really, really liked that. And I really liked how you get this Susie character, who is just she's kind of like the audience, where she's going into this place she's never been to, and then all this weird stuff starts happening. People start dying in really weird ways, like in a way where like you've got to question it. And I liked her character, and I like how she questioned it, and this actress did a good job of playing her. I think that she, like, there's not much to the character, and it's not supposed to be in this type of horror movie, but I thought the actress who played her did really, really good. She really I felt like she gave such a presence throughout the movie. Susie, whoever the actress's real name is that plays her, and I like the fact that these murders start happening, but then something else weird starts happening in which Susie starts to faint, like whenever they're doing their dance moves, like she's trying to keep up, but then she just suddenly, like for out of nowhere, starts to faint and starts to sweat and starts realizing that like something's up with her and she can't figure out what. Like this has never happened until she got here apparently. And then she faints and then wakes up and all these people are giving her like the headmistress and everybody are giving her stuff to keep her well, which will play in later. And I like the fact that at first she takes that and just doesn't even think about it. And then I like the fact that later there's a scene where she sees this woman and this little boy, and she just looks at them, and she looks at something that I can't remember what the woman was actually like had in her hand. Was it like a knife or a piece of glass? But whenever she sees it, it reflects, and like you hear, the audience hears witch, like it screams out the name witch, or the word witch, which I thought that might mean something, that might be a precursor to the ending. But I thought that was funny, and I thought that was funny how watching the whole movie all the way through, such an obvious like what happens at the end whenever they say this already, and they say it twice in the movie. And then I like the fact that we get this scene after where, again, weird shit starts happening to where she realizes that, or everybody, like she's combing her hair and then she finds like maggots in her hair and it's disgusting. And it really, it's funny because I thought it would just be her that had the maggots in her hair, like something's gravitating towards her, like all this weird shit's happening to just her. But I liked how it happened to everybody. And I liked how whenever you realize what it is, it's just spoiled food, which up in the attic there's food that's spoiled and nobody has ever taken care of it. I guess that's where all the food is that they store, but I would have assumed it would be somewhere else, not in the attic. But it was cool, creepy like imagery with like the maggots, because maggots gross me out. So that was interesting and fun, just showing, again, just a weird like precursor to this shit that's happening and not understanding what is going on. And I did like how this does a great job of that. And then again, that woman, it has a scene afterward where the woman and the little boy, I think his name's Albert, they go up to the blind guy who has the dog who works there, and then you see from their point of view, they're making disturbing looks at this dog, like they're gonna come up and like murder him. Like there's something up with all these people. And they go up to the dog and it cuts away, and then the headmistress comes up and says to the blind guy, like, your dog bit Albert, the boy. So my implication is that they did something to fuck with the dog and then have it bite the kid, which I thought was an interesting way to get that blind guy out of there. And they had a weird like ending. I think the headmistress, if that's who it was, and the blind guy, whenever she says like, you're gone, you're out of here, he has such a weird like line reaction to it. He doesn't sound pissed, and he sounds like he's overacting. Like, I don't know if that means anything, but I'm just like, that's such a weird scene whenever the blind guy leaves. It seemed really bizarre, but in a way where I didn't understand it. But he leaves, so he's gone, and then he, at night with the dog, hears the same name, like here's the name witch, like said out loud. And then the dog turns on him, and then the dog literally rips his throat out, which it's really coming clear that something is supernatural, like dealing with all these things. Like, what is going on? And then the dog murders his own owner. So that means that something is pushing these people or these animals to do something. And I really think that they did a good job of building that up. And it was gross whenever the dog mauls the blind guy. I think that it actually worked really well. And then I liked how then that means the headmistress gets everybody to go and sleep in the same like room downstairs, because of the maggots. And whenever they do that, like Susie and her friend starts to tell her all this stuff, like she has a little bit of an inkling of what's going on, and which Susie doesn't, because she's just been brought here and like but notices weird shit's happening. And I like the fact that her friend kind of is the vessel to say like, oh, this happened, I had all these notes, and then they go and look for the notes and then they're gone. And I like that, and I like that they had a precursor to the leader of the witch clan. In the shot, whenever they're all downstairs, they're like, "Is that her in there?" Like not the headmistress, but the other type of leader. I don't know the name for it, but the woman who is the witch at the end, like the witch leader. But I like that they implied that, but they didn't show it, and they did the same shot of her like sleeping behind a silhouetted blanket or a sheet twice in the movie later, whenever you actually see her real form. But I like that we see that earlier in the movie too, whenever they're all sleeping downstairs. And I liked how Susie's friend, whenever she says to Susie, and Susie's being drugged, so she's kind of losing it, and then her friend says like, I had the notes, they're all gone now. Now I've just got one that I had on my person. And she tells about how she thinks it's just witches. And I like that she goes, like Susie gets knocked out completely whenever they're back in another room again. And I like the fact that her friend she's the next murder victim, so she starts hearing, like, she doesn't hear the word witch like the other ones, but she hears childish laughter, which is actually really effective, and it really works. And the colors, using green, because the lights turn off in the room with both of them, and it becomes green, the whole color. That's really cool, and that's a really cool way to shoot tension, and shoot this character, like, running around in green. I don't know why green just is a very cool color for that scene. It really worked a lot. And I liked how I didn't get this. Like, there's an assailant coming after her now because she knows the truth. She knows what's going on. So she tries to go out this little window and then falls down into these wires, which they might be razor wires. It didn't explain it, but she had bloody marks all over her after she was in there for a couple seconds, so I guess it's razor wire, but why was there a whole room just filled with razor wire just sitting there? I guess, but it's witches that we're dealing with, so maybe they just put those there and had that room locked up so that nobody knew about it. But there's some stuff to complain about this movie, but I don't care. It's dealing with, like, witchcraft and stuff. But it was weird because she fell down into this razor wire and, like, she's all bloody. I guess it's razor wire, like I said. And she just, the assailant comes in and, like, kills her, but, like, it was just weird that was there. I didn't get it. So now Susie's friend is gone completely, and now we don't, like, they told Susie, like, she packed her bags and left at 6 in the morning. So that gave it to where she thinks that she's gone for now. But it seemed, I'm glad that Susie still kind of questioned it. And I like the fact that after this she goes and talks to a professor about witches and witches covens, and like where they could, and like a witch that was that there was a witch in this area in an earlier time period. So I like the fact that she learns about this through a professor, and it helps her out at the end. It was an exposition scene, but it was cool just showing that. And I like that she finally just starts throwing away all her food, like the last night she's in here until the movie's over, where she just starts throwing away all the food that they've been giving her because it's drugging her, it's making her messed up. And I like the fact that she suddenly gets attacked by a bat, and it was just kind of random, but it was weird because, like, the bat just gets, like she literally just stomps this bat with a chair by putting a blanket over it, which I don't know if the bat was, like, under the influence of, like, these witches, or if it just literally just was there. So it might just have been killed for nothing, but But I like that she also figures out the fact that she can count their steps to realize where they're going. So she eventually makes it into the witch's coven, which was because of the girl who ran away at the beginning and is killed. She mentions irises and how they're, and like you get the scene at the end of the movie where Susie is actually knows what she said in the rain whenever she didn't understand what she said at the beginning of the movie. But she said, like, it's behind the 3 irises, move the blue one, turn it around, and then it'll become a door. Which is a really cool, like, way to hide these people in that door. I thought that was a cool little, like, whoa, shit, there's another hidden room. I like that a lot. I thought that was just a cool way of incorporating that. And then she goes in and starts hearing all of the people who are in charge saying, like, we need to kill the American girl now because she's not eating her food now. So I guess these witches are just sadistic. They literally just want to murder. So I thought that was funny, and I thought that was just funny with the reaction. They're like, we gotta kill her, we gotta get rid of her because she's not eating her food and she's being a pain in the ass. And then she goes away and goes into this room where the head witch is, and since they had the silhouette earlier of her in the movie when they were downstairs sleeping, Susie realizes it and looks over, and it's like, oh, that's the witch. And then the witch actually, like, takes form of, I think, her friend who's dead, and, like, gets a knife with her dead friend and reanimates her to try to get Susie. But then Susie stabs the witch, who is invisible but is only seen because of the thunderstorm, because of the lightning. I thought that was funny, but that was cool though, because then it showed, like, the weak spot. There she is, stab her, and she gets stabbed, and then you see, like, the true form, and it's like a really, really old person, which, I mean, no, it's not like a super, like, it's not like a super obvious looking witch. It's just like an old woman who's old and frail looking with long, like, fingernails, like, to where they look like she's a little bit of a monster, but she looks like she's human at least too, but she's a witch. But I like that, how Susie literally stabs her, and then that's it. And then all the other witches, like, you see in the room, they're all just like, ah, like, they're gonna die too, because, like, the head witch is gone. And I really like that fact, and I love the fact that Susie just runs out, and the movie ends. I thought it was really abrupt, but I liked how it ended. It just felt like a proper way to end this quick movie. Like, this movie, I mean, the pacing to me kind of was sometimes slow, but it was only an hour and, like, 40 minutes, so I think that ending it on that note, I was like, that's fine, just, that's all you literally need to show. Just, she escaped, she lived, all the witches are dead, all the other people who were not witches were taken to that other thing while Susie was left there, so that show or whatever they were taken to. So I like that. That gives an excuse to have all the girls not killed, and then it just has all the witches dead, and their chateau gets destroyed and lit on fire, or yeah, just burning down. And I liked how the credits just play while it's being burned down. I thought that was funny. I thought that was really clever, and it was just an interesting way just to end it, like abruptly, but not in a bad way. Like, it worked for me. So this movie overall, watching it for the first time, I thought that this was really, really fucking good. Like, it actually, for my first Italian film, like giallo film, I felt like this really was effective and really was fun and entertaining and had a great, likable main character, had an incredible score, incredible cinematography, incredible visuals. Like, I will not forget the cinematography for this movie or the score. Like, those two are probably one of the biggest reasons why this is considered one of the best horror movies ever, just because of the incredibly impressive filmmaking, just from almost all points of filmmaking. This just is incredible. And people can argue now, like, oh, this has been done before, but this is one of the first ones that has done stuff like this with oh, it's really, they're just witches, or like using this type of horror film. But I feel like this is one of the pioneers for it, so I mean, you should give it credit for that. So I thought that this movie just really deserves recognition. Like, I know it already does, obviously, but, like, people are gonna either go, oh, I like it a lot, or I'll not like it because it's boring and nothing happens. But to me, even though it had a couple boring bits, like, it was still incredibly great. Like, just a couple moments were slow for me, but that's my only negative about this movie. Because, like I said, just everything is incredible about it. Besides that, just incredible visuals, score, main character, kills, just gruesome and actually, like, really work. And the twist is cool. It's something that I did not expect, even though it's obvious watching it all the way through now. But overall, Suspiria just really blew me away, and I'm glad this is my first Dario Argento film. I will definitely watch more in the future, so thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you next time.